what's the secret to your productivity? How do you maximize the number of productive hours in a day?
Going back to the productivity thing, I do. I get up, I look at the sun. I don't stare at the sun, but I get my sunshine. It all starts with a really good night's sleep.
Okay, you're one of the most productive people I know. What's the secret to your productivity? How do you maximize the number of productive hours in a day?
Well, thanks for the kind words. I struggle like everybody else, but I am pretty relentless about meeting deadlines. I miss them sometimes, but sometimes that means cramming. Sometimes that means starting early.
Like, how hard do you struggle meeting that deadline sometimes?
Yes, we've pushed out episodes because I want more time with them. I haven't advertised this, but I have another fully tenured professor that's started checking my podcasts and helping me find papers. He's a close friend of mine. He's an incredible expert in neuroplasticity, and that's been helpful. But I research I do all the primary research for the episodes myself. Although my niece has been doing a summer internship with me and finding amazing papers. Mm-hmm. She did last summer as well. She's really good at it. Just stick that kid on the internet and she gets great stuff.
Can I ask you, just going on tangents here, what's the hardest, finding the papers or understanding what a paper is saying?
Finding the best papers. Yeah, because you have to, you read a bunch of reviews, figure out who's getting cited, call people in a field, make sure that this is the stuff. I mean, I did this episode recently on ketamine, about ketamine. I wasn't on ketamine, and there's this whole debate about S versus R ketamine, SR ketamine, and I called two clinical experts at Stanford. I had a researcher at UCLA help me. Even then, a few people had gripes about it. I don't think they understood a section that I was perhaps could have been clearer about. But yeah, you're always concerned that people won't get it or I won't be clear. So the researching is mainly about finding the best papers. And then I'm looking for papers that establish a thoroughness of understanding that are interesting. Obviously, it's fun to get occasionally look at some of the odder or more progressive papers that are, what's new in a field, and then where there are actionable takeaways to really export those with a lot of thoughtfulness. I mean, I think that going back to the productivity thing, I do. I get up, I look at the sun. I don't stare at the sun, but I get my sunshine. It all starts with a really good night's sleep. I think that's really important to understand. So much so that if I wake up and I don't feel rested enough, I'll often do a non-sleep deep rest, yoga nidra, or go back to sleep for a little bit, get up, really prioritize one, the big block of work for the thing that I'm researching. I think a little bit of anxiety and a little bit of concern about deadline helps. Turning the phone off helps. Realizing that those peak hours, whenever they are for you do not allow those hours to be invaded unless there's a nuclear bomb goes off. And nuclear bomb is just a phraseology for, it could be family crisis would be good justification. There's an emergency, obviously, but it's all about focus. It's all about focus in the moment. It's not even so much about how many hours you log. It's really about focus in the moment. How much total focus can you give to something? And then I like to take walks and think about things, and sometimes talk about them in my voice recorder. So I'm just always churning on it all the time. And then of course learning to turn it off and engage with people socially, and not be podcasting 24 hours a day in your head is key. But I think I love learning and researching and finding those papers and the information, and I love teaching it. And these days I use a whiteboard. Before I start, I don't have any notes, no teleprompter. Then the whiteboard that I use beforehand is to really sculpt out the different elements and the flow, get the flow right, and move things around. The whiteboard is such a valuable tool. Then take a couple pictures of that when I'm happy with it, put it down on the desk. And these are just bullet points, and then just churn through. And nothing feels better than, researching and sharing information. And as you did, grew up writing papers, and it's hard, and I like the friction of can't, I want to get up, want to use the bathroom. When I was in college, I was trying to make up deficiencies from my lack of attendance in high school, so much so that I would set a timer. I wouldn't let myself get up to use the bathroom even. Never had an accident, but I was, it was like I listened to music, classical music, Rancid, few other things, some Bob Dylan maybe thrown in there, and just study, and it felt, and then hit the 2 hour mark and you're in pain, and then you get up and you're like, use the bathroom, like that felt so good.
Yeah.
There's something about the human brain that likes these kind of friction points and working through them, and you just have to work through them. So yeah, I'm productive, and my life is arranged around it. And that's been a bit of a barrier to personal life at times, but my life's been arranged around it. I've set up everything so that I can learn more, teach more, including some of my home life. And but I do still watch Chimp Empire. Still got time to watch Chimp Empire. Look, the great Joe Strummer, right? Clash, or my favorite Mescaleros. He said, this famous Strummer quote: "No input, no output." So you need experience, you need outside things in order to foster the process. But just nose to the grindstone, man. I don't want to take an unnecessary tangent, but I think this might thread together two of the things that we've been talking about, which are, I think, of pretty key importance. One is romantic relationships, and the other is creative process and work. And this, again, is something I learned from Rick, but that he and I have gone back and forth on, and that I think is worth elaborating on, which is, earlier we were saying, the best relationship is going to be one where it brings you peace. I think peace also can be translated to, among other things, lack of distraction. So when you're with your partner, can you really focus on them and the relationship? Can you not be distracted by things that you're upset about from their past, or from your past with them, or and of course the same is true for them, right? They ideally will feel that way towards you too. They can really focus. Also, when you're not with them, can you focus on your work? Can you not be worried about whether or not they're okay, because you trust that they're an adult and they can handle things, or they will reach out if they need things. They're going to communicate their needs like an adult, not creating messes just to get attention and things like that, or disappearing, for that matter. So peace and focus are intimately related, and distraction is the enemy of peace and focus. So there's something there, I believe, because with people that have the strong generative drive and want to, be productive in their home life, in the sense of have a rich family life, or partner life, whatever that is, and in their work life, the ability to really drop into the work and like, okay, you might have that sense like, I hope they're okay, or, need to check my phone or something, but just know, like, we're good. Yeah. So peace and focus, I think, and being present are so key. And it's key at every level of romantic relationship, from, certainly presence and focus, everything from sex to listening to raising a family, to tending to the house. And in work, it's absolutely critical. So I think that those things are kind of mirror images of the same thing, and they're both important reflections of the other. And when you start to just, when work is not going well, then the focus on relationship can suffer, and vice versa.